Alright, so welcome to another episode of SHIFT Bhutan podcast. I'm your host, Palden Dorji, and today we have another inspirational individual who's been making a lot of impacts in the community. So I'm not going to introduce him. We're going to play a small game. It's called Name, Passion, and Secret.
But if I tell the secret, does it not stop being a secret?
Name, passion, and secret.
Open secret.
Open secret.
So hi, my name is Rigsar Wangchuk. I'm passionate about a lot of things actually, but maybe what brings me today here is that I'm passionate about providing a platform and a space for young people to sort of act out their ideas, to be creative, to basically care about the world that we live in and to actually try and make a difference there. Secret. I thought I was going to grow out my hair, but I'm going to cut it because long hair is just too much hassle. So I haven't told anyone that, so I'm telling you now first.
All right, so Rigsar here, he works for the SHIFT. So tell me about SHIFT.
Maybe that my job title is a secret actually, because most people don't fully understand what it is. I work on the global SHIFT team fully remotely. My official title for SHIFT is Shifting Power Lead. Does that sound like very serious and mysterious?
It does. Okay.
My role involves looking at SHIFT operating at scale and gathering evidence of what works, what doesn't, using that sort of feedback to both improve the SHIFT model as well as make sure that we create spaces for people implementing SHIFT to learn from each other, because we realize that actually, it's not only us that are the experts, but actually, as you implement SHIFT, people learn a lot. So a part of my role is also that facilitating link between people so that they're able to learn from each other. In a sentence, very simply, SHIFT is what we call a campaign accelerator. Like we don't start campaigns, but we look at youth groups that already exist in many parts of the world, and we simply work towards accelerating them. The issues that are important are determined by young people in the context of their life in terms of what's relevant and what's most important to them. So just to recap in a sentence, SHIFT is a campaign accelerator that enables young people from around the world to campaign on issues that matter most to them.
Oh. So I was introduced to SHIFT last year or so, and it seems like SHIFT has been, making a lot of, they've been doing a lot basically globally. Mm-hmm. And then I was thinking now, why is SHIFT important? Because it's like you said, it's a campaign accelerator, and from what I know, there are a lot of global campaign accelerators as well. Mm. But why SHIFT? Why do you shift to SHIFT?
Right. I think that's a very important question. Just to provide a brief, a historical overview, SHIFT was initially piloted in 2019 in Myanmar. 2 years later, we got a challenge to basically scale up the model. As of 2024, we are in about 20 countries, 4 continents. We've worked with close to over 500 young people from around the world, including Bhutan. We have worked with about close to 50 youth groups actually. The reason why it's grown to this size is because I think when we get to the heart of why SHIFT, we kind of really have to go back to how people view young people. So now, whether it's in everyday sort of practice, but particularly even if you look at research, there are various schools of thought. One school of thought basically says that young people, youth, children, are very static, sort of blank human, what I like to call human becomings. So they're not fully human beings, they're human becomings that need socialization, that need teaching, that need education to make them realize into a fully formed human being. The other school of thought, which is the one that's sort of SHIFT is aligned towards, is that we look at young people, whether it's youth or children, as fully formed agents that have their own thoughts, that live in particular contexts where they experience their realities. They are also very creative, innovative, and that they actually have something to offer to the world. essentially SHIFT exists to give young people around the world not just opportunity in terms of a platform and a space, but actually even the funds, because as they say, you have to put the money where your mouth is, right? So to actually give them the funds to get them to come together, develop a campaign, even before that actually to identify issue. Basically, it's young people that determine this issue. And then we have what we call fun adults, which are people that partner with young people to guide them through this process, to actually teach them and give them access to the SHIFT tools and resources. SHIFT enables young people to be able to do that, to start from an issue, to take them through the journey to the very end where they actually go from campaign development in a workshop setting to actually go out into the real world with real communities, to engage, to actually implement their campaign so that they come full circle, so that it's not just theory, but that theory and practice are merged together, and ultimately they get that satisfaction of having worked quite hard and to actually see the impact of their work within a cycle, like a 1 year or less than 1 year cycle. So in essence, that's why sort of SHIFT exists, both in Bhutan but also the world at large.
Okay. So it seems like now SHIFT is for the youth, it's by the youth, and the campaigns are led by youth, right? Yeah. And then for our listeners, I'm pretty sure it's the first time they hear, they even heard about SHIFT. So now but then at the same time, I'm pretty sure again that they know a lot of other campaigns as well. So my next question is, what makes SHIFT, unique? What sets it apart from other youth campaigns?
Yeah. For SHIFT, I would sort of say, in terms of values, there are two things that make SHIFT unique. SHIFT really places at its very core freedom and the respect, the genuine, respect for young people's voices and ideas. And I think as someone that have undergone SHIFT yourself, hopefully you got to experience that. But in terms of value, that's right at the core, and those are sort of non-negotiables, those two values are not necessarily there in most programming or in every programming that I see personally. The other way in which SHIFT is different is in its delivery. So in its delivery, even though we have a global team, even though there is a bit of a consistency to SHIFT methodology, when it's sort of implemented, we really prioritize context and adaptability in its delivery. So in certain cases, we see, in particular countries where, young people have amazing access to technology and internet, they launch very amazing social media or online campaigns. In other countries, people don't even have access to internet technology or that kind of platform. They start they make up a song that they then go out into community and sing. So when you look at SHIFT, you really see this variety and this diversity. And I would say that's the other way in which SHIFT is different, is that while it has it's a very consistent model. In its delivery, it's highly adaptive, and that's how we want it to be as well, which is why we rely a lot on young, fun adults. Maybe just to add, sorry, I know I said two, but I'll add two more. So by nature, I want to say, and people can argue with me on this, I think kids or young people tend to be more creatively inclined because they haven't been socialized into particular boxes yet. So part of the SHIFT journey also involves young people getting in touch with creative agencies to actually design a campaign that's not only answering to that social issue, but is somehow innovative or creative in its nature. The last one perhaps is that SHIFT does not just stop within the four walls of a workshop. So ultimately, once the plans are hatched, we actually seed fund the campaigns and set aside budget for them to actually go out into the real world, because we believe a lot of the learning also lies when they practically, that experiential sort of knowledge and wisdom that you get.
Yeah, no, I agree, Arch. I think because I was a part of the SHIFT and then the campaign, and then usually when we are planning, YPAP, YP Bhutan, when we're planning to do anything, there's always someone who's like, oh, your content, it's not gonna work because of this.
Yeah.
But then SHIFT, on the other hand, like you said, freedom.
Yeah.
Trusted us.
And just looking at last year, the amazing work that YPR Bhutan, shout out to YPR Bhutan, by the way, that YPR Bhutan did. I remember when I was attending that learning closing event where people were sharing their learning from the entire journey. Even the national director of Save the Children, complimented you guys, I remember, on how engaged the participants were. And I think that really resonates with me, because I also believe that young people have the language to speak to other young people. And I believe, and on a very difficult topic nonetheless, like SRHR, which is very awkward, or can become very awkward if you don't know how to approach it well. I think, young people have that language, and exactly right, we just have to give it a chance sometimes, experiment a bit, give that creative sort of freedom to fail as well, because that's how you learn and move forward in life.
No, I agree as well, I feel like self-efficacy is very important, especially when it's youth. Because when there's when you ask a youth, a kid, a question, and they blurt out stuff, right? But I don't think you should screen the answer that he's giving or they're giving. It kind of demotivates you. And then during the shift, it was really fun. The kids, we let them do whatever they want to. They had a lot of stuff to talk about as well. We say that SRHR is a taboo topic to talk about, but apparently they have a lot in mind, it turns out.
And it's a reality that they face very acutely at that age, right? So I thought one thing that you guys did really amazing was that at that demographic where they're starting to have a lot of these confusion about whether it's their menstrual health or safe sex, reproductive health, all that kind of stuff, there's no one to talk to them, right? So I think when you guys came in and then started talking to them about this, I think that they felt hurt, because they couldn't really have these conversations, right? And these are, whether we like it or not, these are stuff that happens to everybody. So why are we hiding behind a wall and pretending that it doesn't exist when it's clearly there, right? Yeah.
So was there any moment in the shift globally where you saw a campaign and then you were like, this is why we do it?
Yeah, I think that's one of the best parts of my job, actually, is looking at evidence and impact. Naturally, I'm inclined to believe that works, but it always is such a satisfactory moment, a cathartic moment, when something like that does happen. I have several. Maybe I'd encourage people to go check out shiftnow.org website, and if you go to the report section, you'll actually see all these amazing stories which I cannot cover in this 20-minute interview.
So now, how do you think Shift is going to make a difference for Bhutanese youth and children? A message to youths and children all across the nation.
I don't know if I can speak to youths all across the nation, but I believe that you don't have to. You do what you can in where you are, I think the impact that it's going to have for young people in Bhutan, and we're talking, if you just look within the ages of 10 to 24, we're talking about 1/3 of the entire country. So we're talking to a large swath of the population, right? Right now, I think what a lot of young people feel deep down is that they have a lot of ideas, they have a lot of energy, but they don't necessarily get that freedom, one, to explore, two, they want to feel a sense of ownership to their homes and the communities, but there's not a structured engagement that would take them through this process and actually make them care about the community through a particular social issues. And what greater contribution can you make to a community than to actually try and solve a problem? So I think engagements like SHIFT is how you basically develop a sense of ownership, and how do you make how you make young people care about the communities, and ultimately develop that sense of belongingness to a place, And of course, the other impact is that, young people are contributing directly to some of the most pressing issues that they face in the country. So I think there's no greater service that young people can do for their country and for themselves, because it's a very exciting thing to be part of, right? As you'd know. Even for me, it's a job, but on most days I feel like I'm playing. So, rather than to, spend your time feeling I could be doing something productive, but I'm not. I think maybe most young people don't realize that it's actually possible to, give back to your community and do it in a fun, engaging way where you build friendships, where you look back and say, we did that. And that's a feeling that you cannot really replicate unless you put in your hard work and you put in your ideas, you put in your passion, So I feel like that is what SHIFT gives. And that's what young people last year has been able to take from it. This year it's growing. Hopefully in the years following, it doesn't have to be SHIFT, but at the end of the day, it's just the ideas and the approach towards how we work with young people, right? So while Save the Children is doing it right now, I think there's a greater lesson for a lot of other agencies that are interested to work with young people. So I feel like that's what SHIFT has an offer for young people as well as maybe our broader community as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Rigsar, for this very interesting conversation. I had a lot of questions in mind, but out of time, so.
Yeah, that's how you know conversation's good, right?
Yeah.
All right.
And then again, shout out to SHIFT, shout out to Save the Children as well. I don't want to give a shout out to YPL Bhutan because that'd be very biased. But yeah, go check out shiftnow.org. There are a lot of amazing campaigns that's been happening all across the globe. So yeah, that's the end of the SHIFT Bhutan podcast. Thank you for listening and thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Save the children.